Hello, it's Michelle from CNC Designs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in New Zealand, and I'm bringing you another Global Monthly Video Hop. So once a month, myself and demonstrators from around the world get together and we create projects to inspire you based on a theme. So this month's theme is monochromatic. I will list in the description below the links to the other demonstrators that will be participating in this month's hop. So once you're done watching my video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and then go to the descriptions, click on the links to the other videos to get more inspiration based on the theme for the month. Monochromatic basically means one color. So you're doing things using one color. The other thing is in the description below, I will list the products that I show. So if you'd like to purchase any of these Stampin' Up! Products, there'll be the product name and the product codes. Ask your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator to help you. If you don't already have one and you live in New Zealand, you can go to my website, michellekritchley.stampinup.net, and purchase directly there or contact me. All my contact details are there. You can also find links to things like my blog and my Pinterest, etc. So this month I'm going to showcase the Merriest Trees Bundle. And if you've seen any other videos, you know that I like to change it up a bit. I don't always make the exact same card that I've done the sample for. So with this one, we have the stamp set. This is in the Stampin' Up! Mini Holiday Catalog that's valid till the end of December. So this one we have the Merriest Trees, a couple different tree ideas and sentiments for Christmas. And then the dies, Merriest Tree dies. Well, the dies are great because they have different size trees that fit on this tree stamp. So you can have different size trees cut out from the one stamp. And it also has this really great big tag and other embellishments, stars, etc., some garland and things like that. So stick around to the end of the video because I will show some sample cards that I've made that are not one color. They have multiple colors in them, but I'll show them at the end of the video to show you other ideas that you can make with the Merriest Trees Bundle. So let's get going. This is the sample card I made. I made it with garden green, and so as you can see, the trees are different sizes. And believe it or not, this is all just one color stamp pad. So with the stamping off, which I'll show you that technique, you can get different shades of the same color. The background here is actually stamped with the Versamark, which is a clear ink, and it gives you a watermark look. So I did that, and if you put Versamark onto a colored card base, it just makes it a bit darker. So it makes things stand out slightly. The other reason to use Versamark is if you're going to heat emboss things. And then in the inside, I've just used, again, the garden green ink. And here, I did add a bit of Wink Stella. I'm not sure if you can see it. Shimmering, or maybe not. So there is a bit of Wink Stella to shimmer it. On these trees, the detailed part is just kind of trying to show like shading or branches. But the other thing you can do is use your Versamark and do white embossing powder on those detailed sections to make it look like there's snow on the trees. But here in New Zealand, it's spring going into summer, so we don't have snow at Christmas. So I was trying to make these more of a New Zealand type, but I do have other cards to show you. So for today, we are changing it up, and I'm going with Balmy Blue. So you need your base card, whatever country you're in, whatever your standard card size is. Here in New Zealand, it's an A6 size card because it's an A5 piece folded in half. Now, our card stock comes in A4 sheets, so it would be twice this size. You just cut them in half and then score it in half to get you the card size. So we got Balmy Blue. If you're doing a colored cardstock, the inside, it's good to do a white insert because that way then people can write on the inside. So the insert, I did 1/2 centimeter smaller around the whole thing. So this is 10 centimeters by 14.3 centimeters for the inside. And the reason I chose Balmy Blue, kind of the idea is to give you that, evening or early morning look, you know, where you have the colors make things almost look blue. But also, I'm using designer series paper. So instead of stamping the Versamark on the back, I'm using designer series paper that's got Balmy Blue. Now this has got different colors on the other side. This is from the A Walk in the Forest designer series paper, and it has lots of different interesting designs, and some of the images actually match up with some of the stamps and dies from the mini catalog. Like the bear, I believe there's a punch that you can punch that bear out, and these trees look similar because they're the same size as the dies here, so the dies will cut those trees out. And there's lots of different choices of images and colors in this set, but one main color is Balmy Blue. And this set is the one where Stampin' Up! Is giving back to charity. So if you purchase this designer series paper, a portion of the cost is being given directly back to charity. Here in New Zealand, I believe they're giving $4.50 back to charity for every purchase of this designer series set. So that's where I came up with the Balmy Blue color. Okay, so I know there's white in there, but I believe white and black technically aren't colors, and you need to have something to make it stand out. So here we go. Let me show you how to do this card. So we will be die cutting things in a bit, but we're using the tree, and we're going to be doing the Stampin' Off method. So just a piece of white cardstock, whatever you have, scrap, or, you know, just start with a big piece. And we're going to stamp it with our big tree. Now we're going to end up having trees of different sizes. So some of them I'm not going to go the full way. I'm going to make them smaller, so just not to waste ink. And there's my ink. So I've got my Balmy Blue ink pad. And this stamp is quite big, so when you ink it up, you just got to watch out that you don't end up with little lines showing up in the different parts you ink up, because it's much wider than your ink pad. So sometimes it's better to turn it upside down and ink it up like that. My ink pad is actually quite juicy because I just re-inked it because I've been using it a lot. But you got to watch how you ink it up, because you sometimes end up with little lines and smooshes and stuff. So sometimes I'll just ink up part of it slowly, and then just check that I don't have any obvious blemishes on it. And so I'm going to stamp the full size twice. Oh, my paper's a bit dirty. So I'm going to stamp the full size twice. I'm just trying to get it at an angle that it'll fit. So once, and then without re-inking it, I'm going to stamp it again. When I stamp the second time, I'm going to give it a bit more pressure to make sure all that ink comes off. So that's the same ink pad, but it looks like different colors because that's full strength and that's stamped off. Okay, so now I'm going to do partial images. And I might bring in a piece of scrap paper. Bear with me. Okay, so I'm just going to bring some scrap to stamp, so if it goes over the edge. So this time I'm only going to ink up part of it. Gotta make sure that inks up. So I only want the top part of this guy. And I will do that there. And then I will do it again without inking it up down here. But I see I've got a little mark on there, a little blemish. So I got a little blemish there, but that's not that bad. Okay, and now I'm going to go even smaller. And again, I'll ink up part of it. Pop that part there. And then without re-inking it, we'll stick that part there. All right, so it gives it an interesting look. looks like it's a completely different color, but it isn't. It's just different shades of the same color. So staying with the monochromatic theme. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 6. Okay. Trying to remember how I made my original card. Now I'm going to come in with the detail stamp. So here's my detailed stamp. Same thing. I want to ink it up. This one's a bit easier to ink up because it's split into sections. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to do full strength on all of them because I want it to show up. So sometimes you might be thinking, oh, if you do the same color of the same color, it's not going to show up. But you would be surprised. It does show up. So this one, I'm giving it a bit more pressure and letting it sit a little longer to soak up that ink. And that's the same exact color on the same exact color. But look, it looks darker. Very interesting. So we're going to do the same for our other big tree. And this is a pretty easy one to line up because it doesn't go right to the edges, and if you get it slightly off, it looks okay. So there you go. Isn't that interesting? And so if you want it to look like snow, you would stamp that detail in Versamark ink, and then you would sprinkle white powder over it, your embossing powder. And then after that, you would heat emboss it. So now I've only inked up the top part. I didn't bother inking the bottom because I don't need that for this tree, because I know I'm going to cut it smaller. And just give it a bit more pressure so it soaks in quite well. And then the same for the other side. Hopefully you see this on camera. Sometimes I find afterwards that I'm concentrating so much on stamping that I didn't actually line it up under the camera. Okay. I actually, when I moved that, I accidentally put it on the ink pad, so it got smeared. So you need to pay attention to what you're doing. So inking that one up. There. And inking that one up. So those are the trees stamped. And I will die cut those off screen because it's a few different dies to go through. But just to show you, there's a few different ways you can die cut them. So we have our full-size tree, which you got there. And then we have all these different sizes. Just notice I stamped that slightly off the edge, but that's okay. So you have different sizes to get different sized trees, right down to little tiny ones. And you could even do the little top. Now the reason you might want to do that is you could layer the sections, and I will show you a tree that's been layered in the end. So you could start with one design and then just die cut it, and then die cut a section off of that already die cut one. The other thing that I need to stamp is the words, and of course we're staying with the same ink. So I'm going to stamp the words love and joy, and then I will fussy cut those out to place on the card. And in here, when I fussy cut it, I just put love and then joy separate. Because when I fussy cut them, I cut it too close to the and. I might try just to be a bit different and stamp just the and. I think the reason I did it that way is when I cut them apart, the and ampersand, I believe it's called, just looks like an E. It doesn't look like an and. That looks like love and joy. But when you have that separate, it looks like an E. And then I will stamp the inside of the card while we're here with the ink out. And I'll just do that in full strength. There we go. Now I just wanted to show you the Versamark technique. And I will do that just on the inside, because when I put the inside in, you do see a little bit of the edge. So just to show you how the Versamark technique works, I'm just going to do it on the inside edge. So we'll move this out of the way. Up. Using my signs. And where, oh, here it is. So with the Versamark, it's just a clear ink. It's actually sticky, so it stays wet and sticky for a while, so you can put the powder on. And this is just like stars or snowflakes. So I'm just going to go around and just put it on the edge. And it doesn't look too dark at the moment, but it will darken up. And I'm just going to go around and just basically decorate the edge of the card, because when I put the inside in, you're only going to see the edge. So I'm just going around the edge. I'll hold it up to the camera in a minute so you can see what I'm doing. And it's just going to give it that little extra interest on the edge of the card. So I don't know whether these are supposed to be snowflakes or stars or just little interest. On my other card I made it snowflakes. But on this card, I don't know, you can just think of whatever you want it to be. It's also a good technique if you want to, you know, just break up the background of your card. If you don't have designer series paper, stamp words. So you may have seen other cards where you see the happy birthday words a lot all over the card. Then one set of happy birthday is done darker or in full color. So you can do that technique as well. So hopefully this will work. I haven't tried this on this card before, so you can see it's slightly getting darker as it dries. Let's see if it, come on, focus. Focus here. There you go. Focus. There we go. There's a bit of focus. So I don't worry about the ones on the inside because you're not going to see them. And then when I put this card base in, just, well, there's actually not showing up very well. Okay, didn't really work the way I wanted. I was hoping it would show up better on the edge. I might trim this down slightly, and then we'll have more of an interest on the edges. Okay, so I will die cut that, and I'll trim that down, and I'll come right back. Okay, so I've die cut those. I've got some big trees, and medium trees, and some smaller trees. Now my original design, I went even smaller, which I can do if I decide I want to do that. So I can simply just take the die and then run it and cut it even smaller if I want those smaller trees. It's also great, these dies, if you want to do different layers. So those are all the tree dies. The different layers that you can do with your tree dies. And you can even go all the way to the top with a teeny tiny one. So great set of dies there. I also wanted, so you saw how we had the different color variations there. So this was my test run to see, and on regular paper it doesn't always turn out that well because see, you can't see the detail here. But here I've stamped it with different shades of blue. So with this, the background was the Balmy blue, full strength stamped off, and the detail was Azure Afternoon. And then here, the same background, the Balmy blue background, and then the detailed was done in Misty Moonlight. So those were shades of blue, but different color variations. So let's get our card put together. Oh yeah, so I trimmed down the inside. So So I trimmed it down to 9 by 13. So now you can see the little sparkles around the edge. So, come on, focus. So you can see that they've got the little snowflakes around the edge. So I'll glue that together and then we'll put the front together. And that's the card done. It doesn't take a lot. So, but there's lots of variations you could do on this. Take any other stamp set you like. Pick a color and just play around. And depending on how dark the color is, you can go more than just 2 levels. Sometimes you can go 3 levels or more. And they refer to that as generations. So when it's full strength, that's first generation stamping. When you stamp again without re-inking, that's second generation. And sometimes you can get even further, 3rd generation, 4th generation. But this is a very light color, so stamping beyond the second one would probably not show up very well. And I like using my grid paper. I do that a lot with the grid paper and end up with lots of different levels of stamping on my grid paper when I'm trying things out. It's a great thing to use. So here's our designer series paper. So instead of stamping all over the front, I've chosen designer series paper with that balmy blue background. So staying with one color. And now I'm going to layer it up. So I'm going to just play around a bit, see what I want to have where. So we have our big tree. We're going to put our words there. I could do it the other way around. I might change it around that way. And if there's any blemishes and stuff, don't worry because they can be covered up. So see those blemishes there? I'll cover those up with another tree. And then I'm just trying to... I think I will have to go that way because of those blemishes. I'm going to cover it up with this tree here. Make sure I still have room to put my words. And then maybe come over slightly. And see this one, again, it had something on the stamp when I stamped it, so that's why I got that mark. So if I pop that there and just go different shades. And this is the one that I didn't stamp all the way to the edge, so some of the edge didn't cut off properly, but that's okay because again I'm going to cover that up. So just give it some dimension. And see, I could have the full one, but I think I will cut this one down like I had in my original sample, so it'll only be a smaller tree. So it looks like, you know, you're going from the small ones to the big ones. So I will die cut that one with the 2 layers, and we'll lose the bottom layer. But I also need to fussy cut my words. And I'm just going to, you could just block them out into squares, but I like to do around the edges, give it a bit more interest, shape it. But if you don't want to fussy cut, then by all means use a die to get the to get the look you want. But because I have such big trees on here, I can't have a large sentiment on the front. Although having said that, I could just put a large sentiment straight across the front if I want. And that might be a good way to do it as well. Now that I think about it, that probably would have been a very good way to do it. But I will stick with the plan because I'm almost done. But yeah, now that I think about it, you could have a nice banner word straight across the front, especially if you don't have as many trees on the front. If you want to do it landscape, so the other direction, you could have the trees spread out more. So if you did it this way, which I will not because I've already put the words on the inside. But you could do it this way and then have your trees spread out. You would probably go with the smaller trees, but you could spread them out more this way, which looks quite cute. But I've already put the words on the inside, so unless I cover that up. But that does look quite good. We'll stick with the plan, and I will stick all these down. So starting with the biggest one, just going to glue that down. And when I come towards the front, I'm going to add some dimensionals, give it a bit more depth. So we'll pop that right nearly to the top. Now, if you wanted it to be a Christmas tree and decorate it with stars and stuff, you wouldn't put it that high. And then we'll go with the next one. Pop a little glue. You don't have to worry about too much glue because it's going to be held down by the one before it. Now, I'm doing it just off the edge there, just to give a little interest. Everything doesn't have to stay right inside. And then next one. And I'll pop that slightly off to the side so you can see more. Because if I put it there, you might lose it with the same color behind. But if I put it slightly over here, you can still see some of the other color. I'll put it up a bit. And then this one with the edge that I didn't stamp it in the right spot. You're not going to notice because it'll be covered. And then this guy, and the last one, I'm just going to die cut it quickly to get the right size, and that's going to be popped up on dimensionals. So I'll just pop that guy there, and I will die cut the other one. So this is a good sample to show you. So that one I want it shorter, so I die cut it with that one, with the 2-layer one. But if you want to have lots of layers with the same one, first do the big die cut and then die cut it down. But then when it comes out, you know, it comes out cut like that. But then you can actually layer it over and see it gives it a bit of a dimension. So I could even do that with this here, but I'm not. I'm going to stick with my original plan. I will show you a card I made doing just that. So for here, we'll pop some dimensionals on it. And I like to cut my dimensionals. I use every little bit, so I cut edges off and everything, cut them in half. And then I don't use quite as many. But when you cut these in half, you can get little pointy bits. That's good for when you have pointy parts to your die cut. So there we go. And then I just use the other ones that have a bit of a curve. So I try to put them where they're going to fit best on my die cut. And I'll pop that one down, and then I'm going to put up the words on dimensionals as well. So just stick that one like there. And then the words will pop up with some dimensionals cut in half. See if I can fit that in there. Yep. Or the other option would be to use the mini dimensionals, which I do have, but not to hand at the moment, so I'm just using the cut ones. There we go. And just going to put that on the top just to give you some interest. There. So that is a monochromatic card. Now I could add ribbon or something else if I had the same color, But that just shows you a simple way of doing a monochromatic card, just using Balmy blue. And same in here, or Versamark to bring out the blue in the cardstock. So I hope you like those cards. We've got our garden green or our balmy blue, basically the same card. Only major difference is designer series paper versus Versamark in the background. Both of them use the Merriest Trees and the matching Merriest Trees dies. Now, I told you I was going to show you some other cards at the end, and I will. So if you like those, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, make sure you click on the links to see what other interesting one-color projects the other demonstrators have made for you. I can't wait to have a look at their videos as well. We don't actually talk about what we're using in our videos, and it's a big surprise for all of us every month. And what I think is fabulous is we all seem to make such different projects. Even if we happen to use the same stamp set, quite often it comes out completely different. It's really interesting the times that I think, oh, other people are going to use the stamp set and they don't even touch the stamp set that I use. So it's really great working with these people and seeing all the fabulous projects they come up with because they're extremely talented. So that was our Balmy Blue. Now, showing you a few other things that I've made. I haven't made a lot yet. I've been holding off on Christmas cards. But here's another one. So this is the tree done, and it's heat embossed in white. So it was stamped, I think that might be garden green, or it might be one of the darker greens. And then white heat embossed. And then I die cut all the layers. So that's this same size tree, but it looks shorter because all the layers were die cut individually, and then I layered them up. So we've got all the layers there, but because they're layered up, I used tape to tape down the top of each one and then dimensionals at the bottom, so it gives it a layer. So it kind of pops up a bit. And I just put some gold thread there. That's the star die that comes with it. There's one die that will cut out the stamped star image, but there's two other star dies that give you a background and a detailed front. And I did that with the glimmer paper that's got the adhesive on the back. It's online only. And then those are the packages I mentioned about stamping them, the little squares. So we've got 4 different gift packages, a couple different bows that you can stamp in this set. And there's squares and rectangles to die cut everything out. So that's the bow, and that's a bow, and then these are the gifts. Or if you're looking to cut squares and rectangles, good set to have for that. So I did that. This was that same paper I just used, and if you have a close look, I used the new embossing folder that's got all the words. So it says tree and tidings. It's not that easy to see. Oh, there you can see a little bit. So I actually embossed the designer series paper and did the words. So I was talking about you could possibly just do the words as a banner coming out the side of that card. And then on the inside, I did so many gifts, I put more on the inside. So that's another card using that set. Then there's this interesting one. I decided to use the deckled circles. I was playing around with them, and I made a trifold card. So there's that tree. This time I only did the 4 levels of it. I still heat embossed it, and I used the stamp that makes it look like the trunk. Some vellum with embossed in the background. There's the love and joy cut there. And then I used the decal. I folded 3 times the cardstock, gave it 3 folds, and then when I cut the decal, I made sure I didn't cut through the folded side of it. So there's the front. Then we opened up. I did, as I showed you before, the Versamark stamping onto the cardstock. This is the Balmy Blue. Here I did a smaller tree and used the paper. So it's the same paper. Some of the pages actually have the bears on them and the snowflakes, etc. And this time I did some of the baubles. And we have a little star embellishments, the adhesive ones. And then you open the 3rd time, and there's the inside. So I used the decal die to give me a smaller white circle for the inside, and then I did the decal on another piece of the designer series paper. And see, I mentioned that the words will fit inside a tree. So that's another one. So there you go. So we've got our monochromatic, and then we have a couple other ideas for your using this bundle. I hope you enjoyed that, and please come back next month to watch the next Global Monthly Video Hop. Have a look at all my other videos as well. Might inspire you. If you're in New Zealand and you need help with any of your paper crafting, please contact me, michellekritchley.stampinup.net. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.